He used my mortgage to fund his secret wedding with a gold digger mistress, and I made him regret it. Hello, family. Welcome back. Please do well to subscribe, and let's know where you are watching the story from in the comment section. Sarah never thought a plain white envelope could change her life, but there it was, lying on the kitchen counter like an unwanted guest. It was late afternoon, the kind where the sky is heavy and grey, and the air smells like rain. She had left work early because of a pounding headache, hoping to curl up with some tea. Instead, she walked straight into the beginning of her nightmare. Her purse slipped from her shoulder as she reached for the envelope. "Notice of foreclosure!" The bold letters screamed at her before she even tore it open. She froze. Her family's house, the one her parents had worked their whole lives to buy and had left to her, was supposed to be safe. It was the one constant in her life. And now someone was threatening to take it away. Sarah's fingers trembled as she flipped through the papers. The numbers didn't make sense. The dates didn't make sense. And then she saw it, her own name, signed next to her husband Michael's, at the bottom of a mortgage agreement. Her heart pounded. She knew she had never signed anything like this. She would have remembered. The front door swung open. Michael walked in, humming, carrying a bag from his favorite steakhouse. Sarah. "Michael, what is this?" Michael, glancing at the paper in her hand. "What?" Sarah. "Don't what me? This foreclosure notice. Our house, mortgaged. My name is on these papers." Michael set the bag down on the counter, his face completely calm. Too calm. Michael. "Oh, that. Yeah, I took out a mortgage a few months ago. It's no big deal. Just a financial move." Sarah. "No big deal? Michael, you didn't tell me. This is my parents' house. You had no right." Michael, cutting her off. "We're married, Sarah. Everything is ours. Stop being so dramatic." Sarah felt the blood rush to her face. Dramatic? The word stung. Sarah. "Dramatic is when you spill coffee on your shirt before work. This is my home. You've put it at risk without even asking me." Michael, shrugging. "It's an investment. I know how money works better than you do. You're too cautious. You'd never take risks." That wasn't the first time he'd said something like that. Michael had a way of making her feel small, like her concerns were silly little fears he was too smart to have. She used to think he was just confident. Now, it felt like something else. Sarah followed him into the living room, papers still clutched in her hand. Sarah. "Where's the money, Michael? If this is an investment, then show me the investment. Show me where it went." Michael, without looking up as he turned on the TV. "It's tied up in a few things. You wouldn't understand." Sarah. "Try me." Michael sighed as if she were a child pestering him for candy. Michael, "You always blow things out of proportion. Look, the payments are being handled. Don't stress yourself out." Sarah stared at him. Handled? The notice clearly said otherwise. The first missed payment had already passed. A second one was due in days. Sarah. "You didn't even tell me we missed a payment. Michael, this is serious. If we lose this house..." Michael, turning to her, his voice sharp now. "I said it's handled. Can you stop nagging me for once?" That word, nagging, as if her trying to protect the home her parents built was some annoying habit. Her headache throbbed harder. She walked back to the kitchen, gripping the edge of the counter, trying to steady her breathing. Something wasn't right. Michael was hiding something. She could feel it. Over the next few days, Sarah kept an eye on him. He was glued to his phone more than usual, texting late into the night. He'd step outside to take calls, speaking in low tones. And there were new things too. A sleek new watch she didn't recognize, a suit that looked like it cost more than their entire monthly grocery bill. One evening, as Michael was in the shower, Sarah picked up his jacket to hang it up. A receipt slipped out of the pocket. It was from a luxury jewelry store. An engagement ring, paid in full. Her chest tightened. An engagement ring. But they were already married. She felt like her stomach had been yanked inside out. The date on the receipt was just 2 weeks ago. The same month the mortgage was taken out. When Michael came out of the bathroom, Sarah was standing there holding the receipt. Sarah. Care to explain this? Michael, eyes flicking to the paper. It's a gift. Sarah. A gift? For who? Michael. Why does it matter? I work hard. I can buy gifts. Sarah. With money from my house? Michael's jaw tightened. For a split second, Sarah saw something cold flash across his face, annoyance, maybe even fear. But then it was gone, replaced by his usual smirk. Michael. You're paranoid, Sarah. This is exactly why I don't tell you everything. You twist it into drama. She wanted to scream, but she bit her tongue. She'd learned something important. Michael was hiding something big, and if she exploded now, he'd just cover his tracks. She needed to be sure before she confronted him again. The next morning, Sarah called in sick to work. She sat at the kitchen table with her laptop and started digging. Bank statements, credit card bills, even the joint account they rarely touched, the one he had convinced her to open years ago. It didn't take long. Thousands of dollars had been withdrawn in the last 3 months. Hotel stays in another part of town, designer clothing stores, spa packages, all of it under Michael's name. But there was something else. A payment to a banquet hall, labeled wedding reservation. Her hands went cold. That night, when Michael came home, Sarah didn't mention a word about what she'd found. She made dinner, smiled, even asked about his day. He relaxed. That was the thing about Michael. He was never more careless than when he thought he'd won. When he left his phone charging in the living room to take another shower, Sarah grabbed it. No passcode. He'd never thought she'd check. She scrolled through his messages until she saw her. Vanessa. The messages were like knives. I can't wait to be your wife. The dress is perfect. Thank you for buying it, baby. 2 weeks. Can you believe it? And then one from him. I told you. Sarah's out of the picture. Don't worry. The house money covered everything. Sarah sat there staring at the glowing screen, her pulse roaring in her ears. So that was it. He had mortgaged her parents' home to fund a wedding to another woman, a woman who didn't even know he was still married. When Michael came out of the shower, humming and toweling his hair, Sarah was already in bed, pretending to be asleep. She didn't move when he slid in beside her, but inside she was already planning. He thought she'd be another silent victim of his lies. But Michael was about to learn that Sarah wasn't the type to go down quietly. And that night, as the rain finally started to fall outside, she whispered to herself in the dark, "You're going to regret this, Michael. Every single bit of it. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love you to join our community by hitting the subscribe button. Through our stories, we build hope and give future to children and women abused all over the world. Motivate us by subscribing to hitting the subscribe button and turning on your notification bell. Also let us know in the comments where you are watching us from and how this story hit home for you. 2 days passed and Sarah barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the text messages, the ring receipt, the banquet hall payment. Her mind kept looping through the same questions. Who was Vanessa really? And did she know about Sarah? Michael was in and out of the house more than usual. He claimed he was meeting with clients or working late, but Sarah had stopped believing anything that came out of his mouth. She didn't want another argument without proof she could use, proof that would shatter him completely. The answer came sooner than she expected. On a Thursday evening, Michael's younger cousin Jake showed up at the door. Jake was 22, polite but quiet, and he had always been a little awkward around Sarah, until now. He stood there looking nervous, glancing over his shoulder like someone might be watching. "Jake, is everything okay?" Sarah asked, stepping aside to let him in. He walked in, but instead of sitting down, he pulled something from his jacket pocket and handed it to her. It was a printed photo, Michael, in a black tuxedo, standing beside a woman in a white wedding gown. They were inside what looked like a bridal boutique. The woman was laughing, her hand resting on Michael's arm. Sarah's stomach knotted. The dress was stunning. Satin, detailed beading, the kind of gown brides dream about. Jake spoke quietly. Her name's Vanessa. She thinks Michael's a single man. He's been telling everyone that you're divorced. Their wedding is in 2 weeks. Sarah's breath caught. 2 weeks. Jake nodded, looking uncomfortable. I didn't know if I should tell you, but... It's wrong, Sarah. I couldn't just keep my mouth shut. She sank into the couch, staring at the photo. Vanessa was beautiful, younger, with long hair, perfect makeup, and that kind of glow people get when they think they're starting a fairy tale life. But to Sarah, she looked like danger wrapped in silk. Do you know where she lives? Sarah asked. Jake hesitated, then nodded again. Yeah, I've given you enough already. But Sarah, if you go talk to her, just be careful. Michael's got her believing he's rich and generous. She doesn't know about the mortgage. She doesn't know about you. Sarah looked up sharply. She doesn't know about me at all. No, Jake said firmly. Not one word. That detail hit her harder than she expected. It wasn't just cheating. It was erasing her, their marriage, their history. Like she had never existed. Thank you, Jake, Sarah said quietly. You've done the right thing. After he left, she sat in the living room for hours, the photo still in her hand. By the time the clock hit midnight, she knew what she had to do. The next day, Sarah drove across town to a high-end cafe near the shopping district, the one Jake said Vanessa liked to visit on Friday mornings. She wore a plain black coat, her hair pulled back, no makeup. She didn't want to draw attention to herself. Sure enough, at a corner table, there she was, Vanessa. Up close, her beauty was even more striking, but there was something in her posture, in the way she kept glancing at her phone, that screamed impatience. Sarah took a deep breath, walked over and stopped beside her table. Vanessa? She asked softly. Vanessa looked up, startled. Yes? Sarah slid into the seat across from her before she could say anything else. You don't know me, but we need to talk. It's about Michael. Vanessa frowned. Michael? How do you know? Sarah reached into her bag and pulled out a small envelope. Inside was a single photo. Sarah and Michael on their wedding day, smiling under an arch of white flowers. She placed it on the table and pushed it toward Vanessa. For a long moment, Vanessa didn't move. Her eyes stayed locked on the picture, her face draining of color. This is a joke, she whispered finally. It's not, Sarah said. Her voice was calm, steady, even though inside her heart was pounding. I'm Sarah, Michael's wife. We've been married for 12 years. Vanessa shook her head, almost laughing, but there was no humor in it. No, he told me. He told me his wife left him years ago. He said the divorce was final. Sarah leaned forward. He lied, and he used my parents' house, the one I inherited, to pay for your dress, your venue, even your ring. He mortgaged it behind my back. He's paying for your wedding with my future. Vanessa's mouth opened, then closed. She glanced down at the diamond on her hand like it had suddenly become too heavy. I didn't know, she whispered. Sarah, I swear I didn't know. I believe you, Sarah said, and she did. Vanessa's reaction was too raw to be fake, but believing her didn't mean forgiving her. Not yet. Why are you telling me this? Vanessa asked after a long silence. If I were you, I'd just leave him. Sarah's lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. Because leaving him isn't enough. Men like Michael don't just stop. They find their next target. They take what they want, and they leave chaos behind. I'm not letting him do that to either of us. Vanessa straightened in her seat, her expression shifting from shock to something darker. So what are you suggesting? Sarah's eyes didn't waver. We ruin his wedding. The cafe was noisy with clinking cups and chatter, but at that table the air went still. Vanessa stared at her for a moment, then slowly nodded. If what you're saying is true, I'm in, Sarah reached for her coffee, the taste suddenly sharper, more satisfying. She didn't know exactly how it would happen yet, but she knew one thing. Michael's perfect little scheme was about to blow up in his face. And the best part? He'd never see it coming. Sarah didn't sleep much that night. After leaving the cafe, she had driven home with a strange mix of adrenaline and rage humming in her veins. For the first time in weeks, she didn't feel powerless. She had an ally now, and together they could end Michael's little fantasy before it began. The next morning, Sarah called her lawyer, Mrs. Carter, a sharp, no-nonsense woman who had helped her with her parents' estate years ago. Sarah laid everything out: the forged mortgage papers, the missing money, the receipts, the texts. Mrs. Carter listened quietly, occasionally making notes. "Do you have proof that he forged your signature?" Mrs. Carter finally asked. "Yes," Sarah said. "I've compared the documents to my real signature. They don't match, and I've never signed anything related to that mortgage." Mrs. Carter's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Good. That means we can challenge it in court. And if we tie that to his misuse of funds, we can make him answer for every cent. But we'll need to act fast. If his wedding is in less than 2 weeks, we can use that timing to our advantage." Sarah left the office feeling lighter, but also sharper. She called Vanessa from the car. "We're moving forward," she said, "but I need you to do something for me." "What?" Vanessa asked. "I need you to keep playing the role. Pretend you're still planning the wedding. Keep him thinking you're excited. I want him relaxed, not suspicious." Vanessa hesitated. "I can do that. But Sarah, seeing him, smiling at him, knowing what I know now, it's going to make me sick." "I know," Sarah said quietly, "but if you can stomach it for a little while longer, it'll be worth it." Over the next week, the two women stayed in constant contact. Vanessa would send Sarah screenshots of her conversations with Michael. The messages were full of sweet lies, promises of a future, hints about a honeymoon, reassurances that everything was taken care of. Meanwhile, Sarah was quietly gathering every piece of evidence she could find. She visited the bank to get certified copies of the mortgage documents, highlighting every place her forged signature appeared. She printed bank statements showing the money trail from the mortgage loan to the jewelry store, the bridal boutique, the hotel. But Sarah wanted more than just financial ruin. She wanted public humiliation. She found her opening when Vanessa mentioned that Michael's wedding guest list included not just family, but his boss, several high-profile clients, and even members of the local business association. Michael had built his image on being a trustworthy, successful man. If that image shattered in front of all of them, his reputation would crumble overnight. "I'll be there on the wedding day," Sarah told Vanessa over the phone. "Not as a guest, as the ending to his show." Vanessa's voice hardened. "Then I'll be right beside you." In the days leading up to the wedding, Sarah kept her behavior deliberately normal. She cooked dinner, made small talk, even laughed at a couple of Michael's stories. He seemed completely oblivious, too wrapped up in his own excitement to notice anything different. One night, as they sat on the couch, Michael scrolled through his phone with a smug smile. "You know," he said, "some people are just lucky in life. Good things keep coming to them." Sarah looked at him over the rim of her glass. "Some people mistake luck for timing," she said softly. "And timing always runs out." He barely looked up. "What's that supposed to mean?" She smiled faintly. "Nothing you'd understand." The night before the wedding, Sarah met Vanessa one last time at a small diner off the highway. They went over the plan in detail. Vanessa would arrive at the venue dressed casually, not in her gown, and wait outside until Sarah gave the signal. Inside, Sarah would have an audio recording ready, one she'd spent hours piecing together from Michael's own words, taken from phone calls and conversations he hadn't realized she could hear. The recording was damning, Michael bragging to a friend about tricking Sarah into signing the mortgage, laughing about how she has no idea the house is gone, and worst of all, admitting that Vanessa thinks I'm single and that's how I'm keeping it. Sarah tested the file on her phone, listening to the smugness in his voice. Every time it made her stomach turn, and made her more determined to hit play in front of everyone. As they sat in the diner, Vanessa's eyes were cold. "You're sure about this? Once we do it, there's no going back." Sarah nodded. "That's the point. I don't want him to recover from this." When Sarah went to bed that night, Michael was already asleep, snoring softly. She lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, the plan playing over and over in her mind. Tomorrow, his life would change, and so would hers. The morning of the wedding felt almost too perfect. Bright sunlight streaming through the clouds, a crisp breeze carrying the smell of fresh flowers, the kind of day brides pray for. But Sarah wasn't here to bless Michael's big day. She was here to end it. From the parking lot, she could already hear laughter spilling from the open doors of the grand venue. Expensive cars lined the driveway. Guests milled around, sipping champagne, snapping photos, oblivious to the storm that was about to break. Sarah stepped inside, her heart pounding with a steady rhythm that matched her footsteps. She wore a simple navy dress, nothing flashy, the kind of outfit that let her blend into the crowd. In her small clutch, her phone was ready, the audio file waiting like a loaded bullet. The hall was beautiful. White roses draped along the aisle, crystal chandeliers casting warm light, a soft melody from the string quartet floating through the air. But all Sarah saw was Michael, standing at the altar in a tuxedo that probably cost as much as a month's mortgage payment. He looked like the picture of a devoted groom. He shook hands, laughed at jokes, posed for pictures. The smug tilt of his smile told her he believed he had won. She stayed in the shadows near the back, her eyes locked on him. Every second that passed brought them closer to the moment he'd be exposed. The music shifted. Guests turned toward the double doors, expecting the bride's grand entrance. The murmurs of excitement filled the air, but instead of a vision in white, Vanessa stepped inside, wearing ripped jeans, a plain white t-shirt, and sneakers. Her hair was tied back, her makeup gone. She wasn't the glowing bride Michael had promised everyone. And she wasn't alone. Her hand gripped Sarah's arm as they walked side by side down the aisle. Gasps tore through the crowd. The string quartet faltered to a stop. Even the photographer lowered his camera, confused. Michael's smile froze in place, confusion flickering across his face. "Vanessa, what are you doing? Where's your dress?" She stopped halfway down the aisle, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "Ask your wife." The word echoed through the silent hall. Heads turned toward Sarah. Michael's face drained of color. "Sarah." Sarah stepped forward, her heels clicking on the polished floor. "I thought this day should be memorable for you, Michael, so I brought a little entertainment." She reached into her clutch and pulled out her phone. "Everyone, you should hear this." She tapped the screen. Michael's own voice boomed through the venue's sound system, clear and undeniable. "I tricked Sarah into signing the mortgage papers. She has no idea the house is gone. Vanessa thinks I'm single and that's how I'm keeping it. Women believe what they want to believe. It's easy money." The reaction was instant. Gasps, whispers, sharp inhales. Michael's mother's hands flew to her mouth. His boss sat rigid in the front row, face turning to stone. Two of his business clients exchanged disgusted looks. Michael stepped forward, panic replacing his confidence. "Sarah, turn it off. We can talk about this." Sarah's voice sliced through his plea. "You stole from me. You lied to her. You risked the home my parents built so you could play pretend with your little fantasy life. And you almost got away with it. Almost." Vanessa yanked the diamond ring off her finger and tossed it onto the floor. It clinked against the marble, rolling to a stop at Michael's shoes. "Find another fool, Michael. I'm done." The whispers turned into open conversations. "I can't believe it. He's married? What kind of man does that?" Phones were out now, recording the scene. Michael's boss stood abruptly. "You're finished, Michael." Without another glance, he walked out. A handful of other guests followed. Michael's hands curled into fists. "You're destroying me," he hissed, his voice trembling with rage. Sarah tilted her head, a cold smile touching her lips. "No, Michael. You did that all by yourself." The sound of footsteps echoed from the back of the hall. 2 uniformed police officers entered, moving with calm authority. "Michael Reed," one of them called. Michael froze. "What is this?" "Sir, you're under arrest for fraud and forgery. You have the right to remain silent." The officers took him by the arms, pulling him toward the exit. He tried to twist away, his voice rising in desperation. "Sarah, you'll regret this." She took a step closer, meeting his wild eyes. "The only regret I have is not doing it sooner." The officers led him out into the sunlight, where reporters and curious onlookers were already gathering. Cameras flashed. Someone shouted, "Is it true you scammed your wife and fiancé?" He didn't answer. He couldn't. Inside, the guests were still buzzing, the air thick with disbelief and gossip. Sarah turned to Vanessa, who looked stunned but relieved. "You okay?" Sarah asked. Vanessa nodded slowly. "Yeah, I think so. Thank you for telling me the truth." Sarah's gaze swept the room one last time. The flowers, the chandeliers, the aisle, all of it had been meant to celebrate Michael's lies. Now, it was the scene of his public execution. Outside, she walked to her car, the warmth of the sun on her face. The mortgage was already under legal review, and with Vanessa's testimony, Michael's downfall was certain. The moral was clear. You can run from the truth for a while, but when it catches you, it doesn't knock politely. It walks in, takes the microphone, and tells the whole room exactly who you are. And for Michael, that truth had arrived wearing jeans and a navy dress.